Hey, what's up everyone? Today I'll be giving you guys some tips and advice so that you guys can get some consistent runs on the Wyvern 13 hunt. Because I know a lot of you guys have been getting trouble farming that stage on auto. So yeah, here are for me the main tips and guidelines that you should follow in order to be as consistent as possible on your runs. But first of all, I'll be briefly talking about what makes this stage so obnoxious for a lot of players, even the veterans and more advanced players like me. You see, what differentiates this stage from the other Wyvern stages is the mechanics that they added. The first mechanic is that as long as the Wyvern has less than 2 debuffs on him, he will target a random hero on your team. So, in order to keep the fight under control and make him target your frontline unit, you must always have 2 debuffs on the boss. And when the boss has 3 or more debuffs, he will target your front unit and he will deal less damage. But what makes this fight even more annoying is the inner 80% resistance, which means that even when you have 65% effectiveness on your debuffers, there is a 15% chance that it will be resisted by the Wyvern. Just a side note, there is no need to go beyond 65% effectiveness on this fight, and the 15% chance that I talked about cannot be bypassed. Now, let's talk about your team composition. First of all, you guys need to have one defense breaker hero on your team. It is extremely important, because without a defense break, you may not be able to push through the shield phase. In my case, I'm using Furious for the defense breaker role. I was already using him for Wyvern 11. He's a free hero that you can get from the connection quests, and he's really good. Another free hero that you can use for the defense breaker role is Taron Norgard. He's a 3-star, and he is also really good for the defense break slot, and plus he requires no Molas, and we all know the Molagora situation in Epic 7. So these are the units that I recommend. Some other heroes that can defense break, but that I wouldn't really recommend are Clarissa, as it's only a 50% chance on her skill 1 and skill 3 when fully maxed. And Luluka also, her skill 3 and skill 1 can defense break, but her skill 2 is a defense buff, and it's a waste when fighting the Wyvern, because he can dispel the buffs when attacking. Seaside Bellona can also defense break when counter-attacking with her S2, but I don't want to talk about SSB in this video, because first of all, I don't have her, and also because she's a limited hero, and I want this guide to be helpful for everyone. Okay, now that you guys have a designated defense breaker on your team, I'll be talking about the tank position, as you guys need a really tanky front line to suck up the Wyvern damage, because he hits pretty hard, I'm not gonna lie. So in my case, I'm using Angelica, again, because I was already using her as my main tank in my Wyvern 11 team, and I put the free gear that they gave us last month on her. She has 24k HP and 1400 defense, and she can tank the Wyvern hits and keep on healing herself during the fights. Besides Angelica, I would recommend Crozet, as he is also a free hero that you can get from the connection quests, as he has an attack down debuff on his skill 1, and I would also recommend Crow, who deal more damage the less HP he has. Angelique Montmorency can also be very good for the tank/healer position, as she naturally have a lot of effect resistance that can prevent the Wyvern from decreasing her combat readiness. Another unit that is also used a lot is General Purgis, who can push the combat readiness of your team by 15% for each hit when getting hit, but since he is a Moonlight hero, I don't really want to talk about him in this guide. For your tank, I'd recommend at least 20k HP and 1400 defense. Now for your DPS. The main heroes that I recommend are Alexa, Sigrid, and Karen. As you guys see, I'm running both Karen and Alexa. I'm actually using Thorn Sleeve on Karen, as I can get 2 turns bleed when attacking the Wyvern. And since Karen gets another turn when she crits with her S2, I can get more chances to put debuffs on the Wyvern. Now, Alexa is a 3-star unit, and she deals a ton of damage when using a Daydream Joker on her, since a critical hit on her skill 1 will grant her an extra attack, so she abuses the Daydream Joker with her skill 1. Now, what I would advise you guys to do when thinking about the DPS slot is to think about units that can do both damage and provide debuffs. So that's why Alexa shines here. Because in addition to her insane skill 1, her skill 2 puts 2 poisons on the Wyvern, so it really helps. Now let's talk about the insane monster that is Cigarette. I do have Cigarette, but I don't use her since she needs Mola Goras, and I don't really want to use the Molas on her, since I can already auto-farm the stage, as you can see. But if you guys have Cigarette and want to use her, she is insane. She was buffed a while ago, and she got extension on her skill 3, which is pretty OP against Arbiter's Wyvern. Now, what makes her really good in this stage is the number of blades that she can put on the Wyvern. When fully maxed, her skill 1 has a 50% chance to put 2 blades on the Wyvern. Her skill 2 has a 100% chance to put a blade and an inhalable debuff. And when the enemy is below 50% HP, it activates her skill 1 with a 100% chance to inflict a bleed. You thought that was it? No. Her skill 3 deals a ton of damage, penetrates the defense by 30% with an additional 10% for each debuff that the enemy has. So yeah, Cigarette is really good for the DPS/debuffer slot on your team. Just put a rage state on her and you're good to go. Chloe can also be really good since her nail debuff on her second skill cannot be resisted, and since she can defense break with her S3. But I just find that she isn't really consistent enough with her defense break and that she doesn't deal enough damage. Now, for the debuffer slot, since you guys need to have 2 debuffs on the Wyvern in order to keep the fight under control, which means that when the Wyvern won't target a random hero on your team. I want you guys to be smart about what heroes to put on your team. As I said, you need to have a defense breaker on your team, so that's 1 debuff. Now, for the other debuff that you need, I want you guys to use 2 DPS units that can provide that additional debuff, and that also do significant amount of damage. That is why Cigarette is OP. She puts a lot of debuff and can do a lot of damage on the Wyvern. Karen with Torn Slave, same thing. Alexa with her skill 2 that can put 2 poisons, and her skill 1 that abuse Daydream Joker. So for the debuffers on your team, try to be versatile and put 2 DPS with debuff skills. Now that we talked about the heroes, let's talk about your team composition. Your team comp should be as follow: 1 tank that can also be healer on the front line that can soak up the damage from the Wyvern, 1 designated defense breaker, and 2 DPS/debuffers on the remaining slots. This is the best way to do it in my opinion. And you guys will see that your runs are a lot more consistent, and plus they will be faster. One last thing that I want to talk about is the speed tuning of your team. What I mean by speed tuning is in what particular order does your heroes go. So what I would recommend you guys to do is to do a couple of runs on this stage and see what happens, and in what particular order does your heroes go, and you may maybe notice that your DPS use their skills before your defense breaker put the defense break debuff, or that maybe your healer isn't fast enough. So my personal recommendation is to put a speed set and speed boots on your defense breaker, so that you guys can always have that defense break debuff on the Wyvern, which will enable your DPS heroes to do more damage, especially during the shield phase. Again, speed tuning is really important, and once you get that into place and have a good turn order for your heroes, you will have more consistent run on this stage. So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you guys have any questions, put them in the comment section. I'll be really happy to help you, and I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.